Okay, now I'm working in tandem because I need to use the first sister to determine some things about how the second sister, her, is going to go or going to be placed. And right now I'm trying to determine if I want her sitting out this way, but I still have to make an allowance for, this is the start of her neck right now that's going to lead up into her head, tilted way back with her afro. So I'm sort of trying to figure out with my mind's eye how this is going to go, because if I build this up, let's say I'm just going to make a little shape so that you can see what I'm talking about. This is just me rolling a piece of clay, not packing it very tightly, because that's not what this is about. So let's say that's her head, which as you can see already is way too small. So actually doing this exercise to show you already is helping me get the proportions for the head right, because once I see that I have that, I can leave this piece of clay for the head because I know it's the right size and proportion to her body. And don't be alarmed about her head looking a little too small right now, because this is going to be substantially more slender, this area in here. Her legs are going to stay the same. They might get thickened a little more, I'm not sure, but the torso is going to be much more slender. So I'm just sort of shaping a ball of clay, not being real particular, but trying to make it into what will be a head size. All right, so let's for now say that that's it. That's the head size. So it's going to be back like that, which means that now her fro would be back beyond here and over on the side. So I'm going to pull her out a little bit more, and this is pretty much where I think her head should be. And I still think it could be even a little bit bigger. So I put some slip onto the first sister because I want to soften this clay up so that I can go in. This time I will not be using the serrated edge tool because her fro has hardened up considerably. It's not bone dry by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not as workable as this piece is. So when I make that texture, I need to go in a little bit deeper. So here's a tool. You know this one. Yup. That's going to be used like the serrated edge, but I'll just be cross-hatching with it. So once again, spraying this demo head, we'll call it, for right now. Making sure I get the right proportion. Try it out on the neck one more time. The neck is going to be built up a little more, but it will have about that much more build on the neck. But remember, there's going to be a big afro attaching from this afro to her afro. And I think the best thing is even to turn her head a little bit. So now I've got an idea for how this head is going to be. And how far out this structure needs to be. So I think right about there is going to be good for me. Now this part, I'm going to take the serrated edge because I want to build up some more area on the neck that I can do with this last little chunk of clay. This is the last piece that I have left over before I have to go into the new box of clay and open that, which I'll be doing in a minute off camera because you don't have to be there for that part. It's way too noisy. So I'm going to put some slip on here. So I packed it on generously. Now I'm going to mush this piece down into it. The slip is escaping. That's what I want. And I'm going to take this tool, using the back of it, to just press down and join. Now I'm probably going to have to see if I can fit both of them on the platform, because at this point, I really need to work with both of them together, I think. Maybe a more experienced sculptor could just gauge this visually like I just did and continue on from there. But I don't trust myself like that just yet, so do it this way. So I'm going around the back, pressing in, smoothing down. Slip is coming out, and that's fine. So I'm just going to scrape that off on the side of the desk. And I can already feel the weightiness of this top sculpture and how the top part of this sculpture and how it wants to keep bending back. And like I said, that'll be fine because once it's leather hard, I won't be so concerned about it toppling. But for right now, you know, I've got to check on the piece and feel it and gauge if there's a pressure point that I need to pay close attention to regarding support. So we're going to turn her back around. I've built up the neck some more. I'm putting it about at the position I think I had it at. And I don't know if the platform's big enough to hold both of them. You know, they're sisters with hips. They need space. But we're going to figure it out. So I'm working this clay a little bit more, sloping it towards the back, because like I said, her head is going to be upward, and I just want to get a feel of what I'm doing here. Off camera, because you couldn't see it because I keep forgetting not to pull back and start working close. that's the head, and I think what I'll do is serrate this part as deeply as I can, and serrate this part. Add more slip. I'm packing it on thick just in the center. You can see I didn't go all the way to the outer edge because I know once I smush down, all of that's going to slide out, and that's fine because I probably have to add another piece of clay in a tube shape to support this head. So I'm twisting it, trying to make sure it's going down into the grooves, and I think I'm going to brush upward first and then come back down. So I'm working the neck from the bottom, building up into this chin area. Working the neck from the bottom, building up into this jaw area. Same thing on all sides because I really want to connect these two pieces, and then I'll fortify it with another band of clay. You'll see that in a minute. This is me just trying to make sure that these two pieces are nicely formed together. Picking her up again to come around because I've got to push to maneuver this clay upward and into the neck slash jawline. Going to move her again. You don't have to worry about the shape of her head because, like I said, it's going to be supported by an afro, so there's that. Pushing up to move this clay upward to make sure it is connecting with her head. Same thing around here. Pushing it up, following the curve of her head. I'm going to bring this down back because she has a big back. So I'm going to bring this from the back and push this clay upward, uniting that neck and head area. Taking some of the super moistened clay that came off of the back of the tool and just fortifying some of these areas. I feel a hard piece in there. That was some dried clay that I could feel as I was pressing with the tool, so I just removed that with my fingers. There. Building up her head. Not really worried about trying to finesse this because, again, that's going to be all afro right there. So I have to be careful with her right now because she's really, really, really top heavy. And this part, this torso area can split if I'm not careful. I'm taking a risk even taking my hand off of supporting her head and neck. But I took that chance and nothing bad happened, so that's good. Right here, I've got a lot of extra clay, and that's not a problem. You don't have to worry about her neck looking like she bench presses for a living because that will get sculpted down once I build in the fro. So I'm going to move her one more time, hoping that I don't regret this move. This is her position. Now I'm taking, let me turn this a little bit. Now I'm taking this rake tool. I'm just pushing the extra moistened clay over that's on the table just to make some room because I've got to get this platform up and I've got to get them seated together. So I'm going to move her over to the side. I'm going to prop this behind her, the water bottle behind her. Let me turn it again. Can you see that? Okay. Just so that if this head cracks back, I don't have to worry about her head falling off and rolling across the floor on me. This plate is a mess right now, so I'm just using that same large cutting tool to scrape this residue off so it's not the moist clay that it'll end up sticking to. Alright, now I'm going to lift her and sit her on the end. I've got to rock it a little bit to make sure she's secure and not in danger of falling off. I think I should turn her this way a little bit more. That's rocking a lot. But I'm hoping that once I put her up, it'll balance it out a little. That's not going to work. So I have to remove her. I have to take her down. And I've got to figure out another approach. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have to put a board on here. That was like magic the way it appeared, right? Right. So there, that's better. So what I'll do is I'll put her on the board here. That's me feeling just to make sure the board is centered so that when I lift her up, there won't be a problem. Now, I'm going to put her on the board in the spot we were talking about. Okay, and now I've got to turn it around a little bit and see if I'm okay with this placement. Because of this board, I'm going to have to move a lot of things out of the way because as I turn this, it's going to run into areas. All right, so I think I'm okay with that. Like I said, don't worry at all about her misshapen head. I know it's a monstrosity right now, but it doesn't matter. All of that's going to be afro. So I'm just going to serrate the edges that are going to contain the fro here in front, here on this other side. I'm going to move her a little bit because she's got to be serrated in the back as well. And I'm going to prop her up so that her head is meeting that. What you're seeing now is me reworking the torso because I wanted her taller. So that's me reworking the torso. For right now, I'll pull her closer to support that. She's going to be moved back away, but I've still got to add in the fro. That dang it. I'm sorry, guys. I bumped into the camera. It takes a lot to remain aware of the camera for me at this point because I'm not used to it. So I'm just making the thigh line right here where the belly meets the bended area of her upper thigh. Because I need to see that right now for some reason. So yeah, that makes me happy. And she'll get arms later. Don't worry about it. She's not going to be the armless woman. But I'm going to stop this for right now because I've got to go ahead and open the other 50-pound bag of clay. So that's going to happen right up here. So I'm moving them far out of the way so that I can maneuver. Not so far that I'm worried about them tipping. They're very stable with this piece of cutting board, or this cutting board, not a piece of, this cutting board on the platform. And you're seeing the second SISTA coming together. So yeah, I'll be with you in a few.